All right, and so we all survived the summer heat. Summer officially rolled in, I guess, on the 21st of last month, and it was slow coming, but it finally arrived, and we all were bracing ourselves, right, yesterday for that 96-degree high that never happened. Woo! I'm telling you, with the heat index, they were predicting it to feel like about 105, 106 degrees. And so, you know, everybody that I know were sort of prepping themselves yesterday and the night before for that hot day that never took place. I am so thankful. But what did we do? We, of course, woke up this morning to a very hot and humid morning, which means that it's probably going to be pretty hot today, in the 90s for sure. So, you know, they're saying that the summer season, along with the beaches and the fun and the sun and all of that, it does bring dangerous temperatures. And so, you know, there's some things that we need to be reminded of. For example, there are public buildings open during the hot summer seasons for individuals who may not have the important life amenity of central air or air conditioning during the summer months. And so you can take refuge in some of the downtown public buildings, for example, the public libraries. Also, the malls usually are pretty cool in the summertime. They're also saying to remember for the young people and maybe even some of the older people to remember to check on the elderly during this summer season because, you know, with medical conditions, you never know what can happen. And sometimes they don't let us know what's going on with them, right? We don't know that their central air may have broken down or the air conditioning isn't working. So just take the initiative and give them a call and make sure everything's okay, or just go check on them. All right. And so sometimes we suffer from heat exhaustion and we don't even know it. Right? So here's some symptoms that could be a big clue for you, especially if it's hot out or hot in your house and you start feeling dizzy, nauseous, lightheaded, a headache comes on, you start getting cool, clammy skin, heavy perspiration, maybe even some shallow breathing. You need to go get yourself checked because you could be suffering from heat exhaustion with those symptoms. Now, additional symptoms for a heat stroke, now this is much more severe and could be fatal, include severe headaches, red and dry face, your skin that is hot to touch. You might be breathing rapidly and shallow, and your body temperature could even increase. You have a weak pulse. You may have some changes in your consciousness. All of that, those are signs of more severe ailment that comes along with the heat stroke. Okay, so anyone that you know who may be complaining of any of that, maybe you should take some time out to get them to the doctor or to the hospital so they could be checked, especially during these hot days. Now, during heat emergencies, senior citizens are urged to contact their local area agencies on aging, or in the case of the state of Illinois, the Illinois Department of Aging Senior Helpline. That number is 800-252-8966. Once again, that's 800-252-8966. So serious, Nick, so serious. I remember the summer of, was it 95? It was the summer of 95. It was brutally hot. Mm-hmm. And so much so that in the city of Chicago and possibly other areas, senior citizens did die. Those living in those high rises, you know, mm-hmm. The higher you are, the heat rises. And so many lost their lives that summer.
And from what I hear, senior citizens and children are a little more susceptible to that, too.
Yes.
So if you know a neighbor, if you have a friend who may be a little older in age, check on them if things get a little crazy.
Absolutely. Because, you know, we love the summer. We love the sun. We love the heat. But it can be dangerous for us. Now, speaking of the weather, oh, my goodness, in one part of the nation we have communities that are dealing with flooding, And in other parts of the nation, there's severe droughts going on. So in North Dakota specifically, entire communities have been flooded out. And so, thank goodness it's summer break and children aren't in school and things of that nature. But school districts have additional worries as we approach the start of the school year in late August, early September, of where they're going to put the children, because many of the school buildings have flooded completely out. They're water damaged. As I stated, some communities have been completely wiped out. So, not only are parents may be concerned about where the children are going to go to school, but where are they going to live for that matter, And so we're going to keep those people in our thoughts in North Dakota as they deal with the flooding that has been happening there. And then when we look at states like Texas and Oklahoma and Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, guess what? They're dealing with historic droughts, particularly in Texas. And, part of the Southern Plains, some of those states I just mentioned. And this is according to the United States climatologists. They're saying that it's an exceptional drought, the most severe classification, particularly in Texas. And so what do those people do for water? It's crazy, right?
I always in this country, things can be so bad on one extreme, it being so wet, there's so much flooding.
Yes.
But you go a couple 100 miles one way, and they could use, if there was a way
to pipe that flood water.
Make a pipe from flood to the drought, and we would all be happier.
That's right. That's right.
How hard can that be?
Well, thank goodness some of these people have their thinking caps on, so they canceled fireworks for the 4th of July celebration. I mean, everything's dried out. All you need is a spark, right?
That's right. And if you listen to the news coming out of New Mexico, they're just having wildfires out there that are just beyond what they've ever seen. And I remember listening to the national news, and the people in charge over there are just begging and pleading with people, please do not set off firecrackers. For the love of God, people, do not do it. And you know there's going to be somebody who's going to have a sparkler or, some little thing. They're going to set it off, and it's just going to spark another one of those fires.
Because not everybody pays attention to the news or reads the paper.
Or it's not going to happen to me.
Or, they just think, those people don't know what they're talking about. It's not going to happen.
Pray for those people. They're having a tough day.
Yeah, we're definitely going to keep them in our prayers, especially for, the knuckleheads out there who may go ahead and try it, All right. And so weather, as usual, has been of extreme concern this week in this country. I picked this article up. Actually, I think it was in yesterday's paper, and it reminded me of a talk that we had last week about the job market and all of that. This story comes out of Rhode Island. There's a company by the name of Ultra Scientific Analytical Solutions. And the president there is vexing because he has positions that can't be filled. He's
worried because he can't fill open positions.
He has 15 to 20 positions that will need to be filled in the next 2 years.
What kind of positions are there?
It's a chemical lab.
Mm-hmm.
So
pretty highly
so
specific.
It's a specialized, industry. But he's saying that in that particular area, the number of qualified applicants is non-existent. Because, and that has been a major concern. In fact, when I continue to thumb through the papers, I saw that President Bill Clinton was here in the Chicagoland area earlier this week pushing his Clinton Global Initiative America, which is a huge initiative for job creation. And that was one of the things that came out of that forum was that, despite the unemployment rates, there's specialized industries where how many millions? I think there were 3 million advertised jobs across the country
Wow.
that can't be filled because there's no one qualified to fill them.
And it's odd too, because I think the jobless epidemic going on right now in the country isn't just for low income people.
Yes.
It's not race. It's people who have, very high college degrees can't even find jobs right now.
Well, it's interesting that you say it's not race, because Harvard University did a report back in February, Black History Month, hello.
Yeah.
And, well, I told you last week those numbers are so high for African Americans, particularly young male. Well, here's why. Some of them drop out of school or are kicked out of high school, or can't afford college, or may not have the grades to, get the scholarships and the funding for college. And then there's a small percentage of individuals across the races, black, white, Hispanic, all of us, who go to school for something that, there's no job for.
Right. Like radio.
I was waiting on you to say that.
I went with it.
Okay, so that is not funny, but and so you find ways to utilize your talents. And I know in the past 20 years, I've met so many people. This report out of Harvard was specialized to 20 somethings, maybe the 30 and under group. But, I'm a little bit old, not too much older, but a little bit older than that. And so in 20 years, I've met people of all ages who had that particular issue. Their majors, although they have a skill set, but the job arena is so competitive that, where do they go? Or I've seen this quite a bit too, where you meet people who have degrees in one specialized area, but they're working in another industry.
Which makes you feel like, man, did I just waste thousands of dollars?
Even broadcasters, we just laughed about radio and broadcasting, but a lot of those people didn't major in broadcasting.
Right, and a lot of the people who do major in broadcasting don't end up there.
Yeah.
I have a friend who I graduated with, and he was one of the smart ones, and this is something that I recommend if you're going into college, you do. Double major. Cover as many bases as possible, because he went in with he majored in communication, hoping to be in broadcasting, but he had in the back of his head, even as a freshman in college, and I praise him for this every time I see him, he also majored in education. So he double majored in communication and education. His radio thing didn't work out, and now he's going to be a high school teacher. And he's going to be employed very, very nicely, and I think he's going to be a great teacher at that. So the more bases you can cover, the better.
That is true. That is true. But 20, 25 years ago, when people were in school, a few of them were told that or taught that, but it hasn't been happening. And so that's why Harvard and then this Aspen Institute and other organizations, for example, this Bill Clinton initiative, they're trying to get the world of academia lined up with employers, potential employers, so that the children or the young people, or even those individuals who are in the midst of career changes, can make better choices when they go for their additional education or additional job training. In fact, they say in the state of Georgia, I believe, or is it Michigan, they've launched a No Worker Left Behind program where they're taking the current workers, and companies or employers are investing in them, and so they get this ongoing continuous training as they're working to keep them employable and relevant in their particular job sector. So, I just think that this is such a crucial time here in America for all of these individuals, whether it's President Bill Clinton and his Clinton Global Initiative America, or the Aspen Institute. But I think it's wonderful that people are sort of thinking outside of the box and looking into getting people prepare for jobs.